Good morning, it's Wednesday, and we're in the narthex, in an area that you probably don't even take time to go to, because you're usually either coming into the church or leaving the church. I'm not saying you don't know about it, but we want to just give it a little focus. But before we do that, today's responsorial. How great is the goodness, O Lord, with which you have in store for those who fear you, and which, toward those who take refuge in you, you show in the sight of the children of men. You hide them in the shelter of your presence from the plottings of men. You screen them within your abode from the strife of tongues. Love the Lord, all you his faithful ones. The Lord keeps those who are constant, but more than requites those who act proudly. The response for today was, let your hearts take comfort, all who hope in the Lord. This area was always a dead area. When I was here in the late 80s, yes, the late 1980s, as the associate, yes, there were two priests here at that point, full time. This area was the chapel. The doors behind the camera were not there. That was a window. This was used as a cry room on weekends, the chapel during weekdays. This area now expands the narthex so that there is more area for people to come together when we have the ability to be together again, so we can communicate, we can come together as a community. But this area during the Diamond Jubilee was also redone to give us a connection to our past. The four statues that you see to my left and right are all from either the old church or the church here. They all have a specific theme and remembrance. The first, Saint Therese, the little flower. It's one of these saints that so many of our parishioners pray to. It is also the saint of the Carmelites. Next to Saint Therese, Saint Anthony, wonder worker. A lot of times people confuse Saint Anthony with Saint Joseph because he normally has Jesus in his arms. And Jesus usually has the lily plants. And that is what we normally see also with Joseph. But Saint Anthony, our wonder worker, every time you lose something, who do you pray to? Saint Anthony. And that is one of the reasons why we adore this saint. Saint Francis, the lover of nature. Yes, the lover of nature. We here in Hunterdon County are in the wonderful gift of nature. We celebrate nature. And yet, who would have known when Francis was put up here, that the Pope that would be elected in the early 2000s would take the name of Francis. And Saint Anne, the Mother of Mary. Many of us go and celebrate Mary in so many different forms. We spoke about them in the past week when we talked about the different windows in the church. But many times we forget the Mother of Mary. I always remember it because that was my mother's name. And I always remember July when we celebrate the feast of Saint Anne. There's one other statue in the church. It is not one of the older statues. As a matter of fact, it's been a new statue that was created and is placed here on the side wall. And it is Saint Joseph. And we have him as the carpenter. And behind him, we have a church. And in a way, if you look at it in the right angles, you can see that it is our church. You can see the round window that is above the extension of the narthex area, the sacristy, the rooms here, the big window over the front, and of course the body of the church. It is not just our church and Joseph. It is Joseph, the father of the church, all churches. He is the father of Jesus and is our father as well. We remember him. We adore him, and we thank him for being part of our lives. We keep him in our hearts and our minds. Don't forget St. Therese, St. Anthony, St. Francis, St. Anne, and St. Joseph. When you walk through the narthex, take 1 second to remember them. We have candles. That's good to go and remember someone else, but maybe light one in memory of them as well. Enjoy this day.